What's up, everyone? It's Anna, also known as that Star Wars girl, and today I am actually doing my first art video. So as you can see, I am painting Yoda. Now, take in mind, this is just part one because I am painting with oil paints. Now, oil paints take a notoriously long time to dry, but I love that because I'm one of those people that I jump around from project to project and I'm always working. So the greatest thing about oils is, especially when I'm not doing this for work per se, that I'm just doing this for my own personal enjoyment and portfolio. So best thing about oils is that I can start painting it for 4 to 10 hours and then leave, come back, and it's still wet, so I can continue to paint from it, whereas acrylic dries almost instantly. I've never really been a fan of painting with acrylics. I know some people like them, but I'm oils through and through. The smell at first, you gotta get used to it, but once you start painting with oils, I think it's hard to paint with anything else, as long as you know how to use them and you have all of the right materials to paint with oils, because it's kind of an undertaking sometimes, but the end result is always worth it. I personally think that oil painting is always going to be far superior than acrylic painting, but again, that's just my own opinion. If you like acrylics, then great for you. I know my best friend Sav in college, she's all about the acrylics and I'm all about the oils, so we had that ongoing debate, but it's fun. She works with acrylics very, very well, and I'll put a link to her art in the description of this video. So as you can see, as I've been going through and just kind of talking, but you can see the work that I've been doing and how I'll add the color and then I will just blend it out. Now, I've been trying a couple of different techniques just to make my art go faster and just pop these out as fast as you go, because you'll learn as you try to do this for a living that time is money, so you want to get fast at what you're doing, and typically oil paintings will take up to 40 to 60 hours to do, and that's on the shorter end of the spectrum. So this isn't something that you're going to get done in one day, unless, for me, when you are a big procrastinator and it's finals or midterms and you have a painting due the next day, and then you have to sit there with a blow dryer, and if you ever have to blow dry an oil painting, it is going to smell horrendous and it'll not help the painting last in the long run. And that's one of the things that makes oil painting so valuable, is that they last for a very, very long time. So this blue brush that I've been using, and you can see I recently discovered these brushes about a year and a half ago, and they've changed my life when it comes to painting, because they are the perfect blending brushes. And you can see every time I use the blue brush, it's to mix the colors and to make it into a smooth transition. Now, I was experimenting with camera angles and lighting, so sometimes in this video you're going to see that it's lit very differently. But I was painting halfway through this and the light was just blinding my eyes and I couldn't take it anymore, so I needed to move it. And it shows you the difference of the way that the painting will look in different light settings. So if you have a light directly on it, of course it's going to be brighter. You can see that real sheen that the oils give to it. But when you turn the light away from it and have it in that dark, you can really see the contrast. And that's something that you really want to pay attention to when you're painting a character, is you want your painting to be seen from across the room. And there's no details on it, but you can specifically see who that character is from across a room, and not just a small living room, but like think about an art gallery, think about the Getty Museum and what a grand scale that is. And if you were to see a Darth Vader a block away from you, you would instantly know that that's Darth Vader because of the silhouette, just like you would know that that was Yoda from across a room. So that's one of the key things that you want to get across when you're painting. Now, something I learned in college that has really helped me out with my work is this saying: value does all the work, but color gets all the credit. So if I were to be doing this tutorial to people in person, I would usually go in with a limited color palette, so that would usually be black and white with some warm and cool to add into for the lighting. So for Yoda's face, as you can see in the shadows, I put ultramarine blue because he is getting lit by a warm light, so the shadow is going to be cool. And that's a very important thing when you're painting, is to show the temperature. So when you have a warm light, you're going to have a cool shadow, and when you have a cool light, you're going to have a warm shadow. And one of the things that you need to learn when you're going to be adding the values is that on Earth, there is no true form of black. Because we have the sun, because we have lights, you're never ever going to find a true black. Maybe at the very bottom of the ocean in that trench, but on Earth, nothing is ever going to be pure darkness. You might be able to find it in a black hole or, in the very depths of the ocean, but even then, there still might be a shred of light that will give it either a warm value or a cool value. So when you go in just with the values, that's really going to tell you how the form is and what the lighting is going to be, as well as the value of the colors that you're going to be using. As you can see in Yoda's eyes, you can see where I put the brightest color, which is the closest form of white, but it still has a little tint of cadmium yellow in it because there is never going to be a pure white. I might go back in and add it just for a little bit of pop, but I'm one of those people that I add color into my whites and colors into my blacks because I want it to look as real as possible. And on Earth, you're never ever going to get a pure white or a pure black because of our sun and because of the lights. And that's something that you really need to understand for when you're going to be painting realism. And even though I'm painting a puppet per se, you can look at artists like Drew Struzan, who did all of, the best movie posters, in my opinion, that ever lived. And he did all the Star Wars, he did Back to the Future, and he did a lot of work for Jim Henson, because when it came to Jim Henson's puppets, he didn't like photographs because it just looks like puppets. But the way Jim described it when Drew did it, he said that this is the way, you paint them the way that I see them, because to me they're real. So to me, Yoda is real. Yoda has been, a huge part of my life since I was a little girl and when I first watched Star Wars. So to me, this is like painting an old friend. My youngest sister, she was a baby basically when I was old, because I'm the oldest sibling, and it was so funny to watch this little baby react to Yoda, and we always used to tease her that he was her boyfriend, because this little baby would only get excited when Yoda was on the screen, and it was the cutest thing. And I still tease her that Yoda's her boyfriend, but that's just a little family inside joke. Now, this part is really key when you're going to be adding details. Now, I've spent a lot of time trying to learn how to draw and paint hair. And what I've learned is that some people like to paint the background first. I don't. I like to paint the background when I'm kind of at the 50% mark. And so that way when I add hair or when I add rim light, I can put that in, and I do a lot really close to the character, and that way I can also blend out some of the edges. Because when you look at a character on a page and it's just all these sharp lines, it doesn't look as real to me. It doesn't look as organic, because you have to think of atmospheric perspective. And even if you don't draw buildings, you still have to add in perspective even to characters like this, for example. As you know, when you're looking at someone's face, one of the most protruding things on a person's face is their nose. That's going to be the forefront. But with Yoda, obviously, his nose is a little pushed back in his face. And one of the things about Yoda is you can see from where the light is hitting him that it's really his his eyebrow ridges, his cheekbones, and his forehead that's catching the light. So the closest to us is actually going to be his mouth, and then it goes back farther to where his cheekbones are and at his nose. So you're going to see that, and then behind him where his parts of his ears are, I'm going to make that fade away. And really, when you see his hair, when you're painting hair, you're never going to have perfectly straight lines. That's why I use a certain blending brush to paint the hair in. And if you have just a dry background, it's not going to blend as well. It's not going to look like hair. Whereas when you use this blending brush and you paint it on, and this is kind of a tedious process because you have to clean your brush off after every stroke, I found that it really emulates hair very well, and I love that look of it. So like I said, guys, this is just part 1. I will be back with part 2 with more details, and that's actually where all the fun begins, with the finishing touches of the painting. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, that's okay too. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you click that little bell. And everyone, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and may the Force be with you, because we are really going to need it. Hey everyone, after being asked for months now, I finally got a P.O. box. So if you want to send me some mail, go ahead and send it to Anna, that Star Wars girl, or TSWG for short, at P.O. Box number 28171, Santa Ana, California, 927998171. Thank you. Have a great day, guys.